What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 6. For those that can see my hand, it is 6. Anthony Steele hollering at you. This one's for you. I'm Conor Farrell.
And I'm Billy Gerlot, where we talk all sports with absolutely zero filter.
And zero fluff.
I like how the intro is kind of...
I got him more and more.
It's getting more and more as we go.
Electric.
So today we have an exciting episode for you guys. We're going to talk about the recruiting process and a little bit about the transfer portal, especially because the transfer portal is, adapting and really becoming, a part of today's game. Looking ahead, we have a few guest speakers lined up for some future episodes. So
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're really excited for, the upcoming episodes. What else? We hope you guys enjoyed episode 5 about the strength training of, sports and all that. But yeah, we're really excited. Today we're switching it up a little bit. We kind of filmed a little cameo before we hopped into this episode. Today we are drinking Nori. It's an ultra filtered milkshake.
If you're seeing this, at least sponsor me. He can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, Nuri. But I mean, it's gas. It's gas. We found it. We discovered it at our local gas station. It's gas. So if you do see it in the shelves of any gas station,
grab it.
Grab it. No, it's really good. And then kind of staying on the topic of, the recruiting process and all that. Today, we are showing you guys the 2026 Fearless Falcon hats of the season, designed by yours truly, head coach Ian Ratchford.
Shout out, Ian Ratch.
Shout out. Hopefully getting him on a future episode. But, this is kind of our recruiting pitch to you guys. If you're a 2026 or a 2027 and you're looking for a home, you guys can rock these hats. So they're fire. We have a sponsorship with Nike, so you're going to be able to rock some really cool gear. But yeah, it's kind of a good.
How about it?
Good.
Fearless.
Yeah.
Be fearless.
Yeah, good lead up into, what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah, so I guess, for mine, I mean, I got recruited 100 years ago. That was back in 2006, so looking on almost 20 years.
Wow.
You were recruited more recently, so we can kind of, I'll talk about how, I was recruited to, my junior college and what I think the importance of a junior college is and why I chose a junior college over going to Division I level or D2, D3, NAIA, and so on and so forth. And then obviously you went to, straight to Division I level, and you could talk about more along the lines of what you did for your process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because obviously between me and you,
it's a process.
Yeah.
It certainly is a process.
Yeah,
and then also too, the cool thing is we're both college coaches now, so we're going to be able to kind of tell you guys what we look for and, like the conversations that we have with kids that we're actively recruiting. So it's a really exciting episode. We both do understand that the recruiting process could be a really scary time for a young athlete, but I feel like it also is one of the most rewarding and, really, really, really most awesome, or whatever the English would be. As you can see, we didn't
more
awesomer processes that you get to go through, because ultimately it is a massive decision, not only for your athletic career, but for your academic career.
Correct.
And it kind of just sets you up for life post baseball.
Yeah, 100%.
So Connor, how about you tell the people, what it was like, because obviously the recruiting process now, it's like this whole big shebang. You got crazy. With, your top football prospects and your top, basketball process. They're announcing their commitments on ESPN and all that. Kind of just talk about, what the recruiting process was, for you, and, when you ultimately committed to Potomac State, or what it was like when you made the jump to West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more along the lines of, the internet. There wasn't really much phone calls or anything like that. There were emails, internets, and believe it or not, letters.
Yeah, how about it?
Mailing letters. So for me, it started with me creating a hitting video and a pitching video and a fielding video. The first off started off with how I guess it's still done the same way. currently, where you have your height, your weight, your GPA,
Yep.
email, the whole nine. But we had old camcorders that would have to sit there,
Wow.
and you would actually send almost like a VHS or like a DVD type disc to the school. You could upload it on the internet, but that obviously wasn't the best move. You wanted to make sure that the coaches had the actual physical copy in their hands. So when I got, 2000, my senior year was one of the years where I was always like, all right, where do I want to go? First thing was first is I wanted a good demographic. I
Right.
wanted to get the hell out of Connecticut.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm back here, so nothing wrong with Connecticut. It was more along the lines as I wanted to make, more independency for myself.
For sure. Absolutely.
But also I knew that JUCO was my first move, even though I had several other offers on the table, where I wanted to, go at my pace because I knew that the college baseball was going to speed up.
For sure.
My GPA was honestly it was average. It wasn't something that I shot to be the best. And when people would ask me like, "Oh, what's your major?" I'm like, baseball.
Yeah.
So that's what I knew, and I chose Potomac State simply because Coach Little, obviously top-notch coach, which I've talked about many times in here. I have nothing but utmost respect for that fella, and there's a lot of stories to come, between that at that school. But it really started with me sitting down with my parents, saying, "Hey, what's the best goal for me? Mentally, physically, financially, grade-wise, academically, that would give me the best option to go be successful in my future." So I narrowed it down where I thought that the Division 1, 2, 3 levels were going to speed me up, like I was just saying. So I knew that I was going to fail at something.
For sure.
So I didn't want it to be fit. I didn't want to fail at baseball or academics. So I chose to go not necessarily a lesser route,
right,
but more of a school that was more my speed. So I crossed my T's and dotted my I's. Where my brother, I was fortunate enough to see West Virginia since 2002.
Yeah.
So I was like, this place is beautiful. He went to West Virginia University, was on the crew team, so I got to kind of see what athletics at Division I level was like.
Yep.
And I realized that, let me take a step back, slow it down, go where I'm going to play right away, which I think is very crucial for
absolutely
you guys that are watching. Go where you're going to play, because especially the transfer portal, things will change. Back in my day, we didn't have a thing called the transfer portal.
Yeah,
we had crazy. You play your ass off, you get in the starting lineup, you finish your 2 years at Potomac, which we had a very, very successful 2 years there, and then you go on to your next 4-year school. It's very, very cut and dry, very simple. It's you gain interest from that 4-year school, and you're like, all right, that's where I'm going to go.
Yep.
There's nothing about Instagram, Facebook, MySpace back in my day. There's nothing like that where you're posting things online saying, hey, I'm going to go to West Virginia University and play baseball, or I'm going to go to University of Connecticut. But I also had the help with my coaches, my personal coaches. Like I had a hitting instructor and a pitching instructor that helped me kind of push me in the right direction, and also connected me more personally with the coaches that I ended up talking to.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
That was a little bit different than what it is now.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's pretty much like my story. It's very simple. Write your letter, say, hey, I'm Conor Farrell. I'm first baseman pitcher from Stamford, Connecticut. At the time I was weighing like 230. Remember those days. 230, like 6'2", 6'3". I was a unit. I put your miles per hour, exit velocities, all that stuff. It wasn't as accurate as it is today.
Yep.
Then you have your fielding piece, and then you have your pitching piece, and you include your pitches with velos. Then you just ship it out, and you wait to hear back. But everything was done by writing letters or just simple email. So
yeah, that's crazy.
Which brings us into Billy's side, which is honestly probably the polar opposite.
Yeah. No, it's very similar, but like obviously it's more, kind of what it is now. But even like today, like it's just in 2025, it's a lot crazy. Different. So I'll do the whole shebang. I'll do the recruitment to Penn State, and then I'll just get right into the transfer piece to Kent State. Yeah. And then we can kind of just get a little bit more informational. But so my freshman year in high school was 2017.
Young buck.
Yeah, how about it? 23 years old. So
I was out of college and I already had my first job. No,
that I think that adds up. Yeah, 2017. So, but I was lucky enough to play for a really good travel organization. It was originally based out of Pennsylvania, but now it's grown. So, growing up, I played for US Elite under. My coach was Tom Ott, and very fortunate. My dad was also the assistant coach. But I played for really good coaches such as Josh Parrish, who was a draft pick to the New York Mets. I played for Coach Ferber. Yeah, Coach Jason Ferbs. He was a part of he was a part of the US Elite organization. And just all these different people that helped me out through my recruiting process. So I wasn't alone, but basically, through the travel pieces, they set us up for success. We would have showcases or team events on these university fields where it would just be US Elite, and we would take 5 or 6 teams and we would play in front of the college coaches and we would just show out, and that was part of it. Or, we would go down to Georgia or Florida for the Jupiter, the WWBAs of Perfect Game. I think now it's PBR now, but, Perfect Game was in its peak when I was going through it. So, a lot of it was like, hey, like we're gonna take you to these big time tournaments. You want to play big time Division I baseball or collegiate baseball in general? Like, here it is. Like, go show what you got. So kind of just a little bit how I got into contact. So my first recruiting call was actually with Fordham right down the road with Rob DeToma. It was after one of our tournaments out in Ohio, I believe it was.
Coach DeToma's now in
San Francisco.
Across the globe from here now.
Yeah. So, that's something that, I'll never forget. And I'm sure we will, we'll get into talking about, what you should say on the phone and all that stuff. So that was my first recruiting call. We were down it was actually a fall tournament, which is crazy because I feel like most of your recruiting gets done in the summer, but it was a fall tournament. I was down at the WWBA. We were at the Tampa Bay Rays spring training facility, and I had a really good game. And at the time, the assistant coach for Penn State, Andre Butler, who is now, believe it or not, he's actually one of my mentors for, the outfield piece of it. He runs a great company called Graveyard Mentality. I'll wear one of the shirts on one of these pods one of these days. But if you're an outfielder and you want to learn how to play, the outfield, check out his page, Graveyard Mentality. He's awesome. He started that at Penn State, which is actually really awesome. So, that's kind of just the mindset that we had, which we talked about in earlier episodes. So you see how it's all tying in. It's crazy, but no, I wanted to go see the main field, and he actually chased me and my mom down and was like, hey, like I saw you're a Pennsylvania boy. I really, 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 liked you. And it was funny how it worked out because I was an infielder for this team, but I actually played outfield that game.
It's weird.
So it's funny how that all.
He was an infielder for me too.
I was an infielder in the NECBL playoffs. Crazy. But then obviously after I got, in contact with Coach Butler, then, I started talking to Coach Sean Moore, Coach Newman, Coach Cooper, that awesome staff that I had the privilege of playing for at Penn State. I'll never forget it. I was helping my late great grandmother move out of her house, and I got a text message from Coach Newman, and he was like, hey, like, let's get this done. Like, hop on a phone call. And I committed to Penn State in the Friedensburg Fire Department parking lot because my grandmother didn't have reception in her house. So I was freaking out about, I'm not even going to have any reception to call Coach Newman, all that stuff. But that's where I committed to Penn State. And then obviously I hopped on a phone call with Coach Coop, 20 minutes after. He was fired up. So I definitely did feel, super welcomed, to the Penn State community. And obviously that was a big commitment for me because I grew up a Penn State fan. So that was awesome there. But kind of just backtracking to US Elite, we had a profile page on the US Elite website that kind of had all of our metrics and all that, our 60 time, all that fun stuff. And, we had a recruiting video that was like, hey, my name's Billy Gerlot from Pottsville, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, similar.
I attend Blue Mountain High School, the whole shebang. But then it kind of, when I was going through it, PBR was getting, big. The Perfect Game showcases were getting big. Area code, obviously, those types of, big time showcases. And we'll talk about showcases a little bit later, because I think I have a different, opinion on showcases and all that stuff. But whatever, that's kind of just, my commitment to Penn State. Then, kind of just going into my, my transfer portal side of things, it was a little bit different for me because I was a grad transfer. But played 4 years at Penn State. Absolutely loved it. My senior year, we had a coaching staff change. So Coach Gambino from Boston College came in, nothing but great things to say about him. But I ended up hurting my hand. I got hit by a pitch against Northwestern, and it kind of sidelined me for a little bit. And we kind of, I was worried about my future because I knew that I had an extra year because I redshirted my freshman year, because that would have been 2021. So it was the year right after COVID. And it was the year where it was conference only. So it was, a pretty easy redshirt for me. But super grateful that, Coach Cooper, Coach Burke, I actually totally forgot to even bring up that side of things. So I was actually about to commit to West Virginia. While Coach Burke, heaven. While Coach Burke was at West Virginia, and then he got the job at Penn State. And I remember I was shopping with my grandmother and my aunt in Lehigh Valley, and I got the notification on my phone that Coach Burke was going to Penn State, and I was like, holy shit, I'm going to be a Nittany Lion. So
how about
nice little story for you there.
Nothing's prettier than a golden blue, though.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Navy, just the Navy and white, but there's other things going on with that university right now that we talked about in sports talk, and we'll talk about it in sports talk.
You just embrace it like I do.
Yeah, you just embrace it.
Built for heartbreak.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, no. So Coach Gambino comes in, hurt my hand, all that stuff. I'm a little bit worried about my future, but I also understand that when a new coach comes in, they want their own guys, and that's totally understandable. I get it as a coach now. Yeah. I mean, I got it as a player, but I had a really good talk with him, and I was like, hey, like, I understand what you're trying to build here. I love Penn State and all that, but I think it would be a good idea to kind of go our own separate ways and all that. So if you're entering as a grad transfer, you can enter the portal whenever you want. You don't lose like your eligibility, or you have to leave the team or anything like that. And as crazy as this sounds, and I don't want to hear anything crazy in the comments section, but Kent State came to Penn State that year, my senior year. We played on a Tuesday, so it was a dollar dog night, and Kent State actually kicked our ass that night. And that's kind of just how I got in contact with them. So at the time, their assistant coach, Ryan Sloniger, who was a Penn State grad, and I knew prior to going to Penn State, he hit me up. He was like, hey, we need an outfielder. We would love to get in contact with you. So I got on the phone call with Barrett Serrato, who is now at Purdue, and then ultimately Coach Duncan, who I committed to, obviously, because I played a year there. But him and I had unbelievable conversations. I loved what he was about. I loved that he was an outfielder at the professional level. And it was kind of just, Kent State was a really good winning program. So I knew I wanted to go mid-major. Not saying that that's a downgrade or anything like that. But
they had a phenomenal year.
when you think about Kent State, you think of a prestigious mid-major program that wins, and and that's what I wanted. So I was very fortunate enough to talk to University of North Florida, Gardner-Webb University, Towson University, all these different schools that, that wanted me. And it was great. The portal's a fun time. It's also a scary time. But then I ultimately, committed to Jeff Duncan and the Kent State Golden Flashes. And now we're here after a really successful year and a MAC championship. So
and then he hit the transfer portal again, and CSP picked him up.
And now I'm at CSP. Yeah, but no, that's kind of, that's
Dude,
kind of I mean, I have a little bit longer story. I know I probably, cut some, pieces out. So, I mean, if you do actually have any questions, since, I mean, not calling you old here, but since I'm kind of just in it more recently, if you guys have any questions, just hit me up, slide in the DMs, do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, let's just talk about transfer portal while it's there.
Yeah,
just because that is a hot topic.
It's a very hot
It
topic.
is a very big piece of the recruiting. What's the word I'm missing?
Process, recruiting process.
Yeah. Just because with the transfer portal, I mean, like I said, in my take is go where you're going to play. That's my opinion, because now you have Division Ones and D3s are literally smack dab at the same level, and you can technically go to a D3 and build, because the way that some of these D3 programs are, or even D2s or NAIAs, their facilities are
Just as
upgrading
nice.
just as fast and just as nice.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, well, I might get a lesser of academics at some schools, not all of them, but you're getting Division I weight rooms, you're getting Division I bullpens, you're getting Division I hitting facilities, you're getting Division I everything, locker rooms, right?
Yep.
And then now you have everyone out there loves drip, right? Now you look at, those D2s, D3s, and so on that are now signing out with Nike, signing out with Adidas, signing out with New Balance. Like
Under Armour,
me at a junior college back in 2006, we had to deal with Rawlings and New Balance.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me right now, when I look back, Potomac State is now a full Nike school.
Yeah, it's badass. It's
you know
badass.
what I mean? Like, it's pretty sweet to have, but also, you look at it from the transfer portal side. It's like you're a 17-year, 18-year-old kid, or 16 in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
You are now having to go up against a 24-year-old. You're 23, right? That's a grown human being that's played 5 years of baseball at the college level.
Yep.
That game's not necessarily sped up anymore. That's a walk in the park.
For sure.
And I see a freshman on the mound. What am I gonna think? Oh, this is my
fresh meat.
This is
literally fresh
go.
meat. Literally fresh meat.
You know what I mean?
No,
I
can't agree more.
So just tell the people, like, what your experience was with the transfer portal. How it kind of, I mean, you were more of a grad guy.
Yes.
But obviously you're closer to the age of the transfer portal than I am.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm very informative in it, but I'd rather have you, from a player's side and from your friend's side, talk to like how, like, you had maybe sophomore or junior that wasn't going to play in the near future, and they wanted to jump ship and go to another program where they are going to play.
Yeah, no, for sure. So obviously, right now in 2025, I feel like the transfer portal is used for two different things. One, it's used for the guys that genuinely want to go somewhere to play because they are whatever, and I don't want to call it an excuse, but whatever, the reason may be, coaching staff change, not playing, just the school wasn't what they, first interpreted,
right.
Or, which is, I can't believe we're even saying this in NCAA, is you're leaving to go get a bag.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, and I think this is the hardest thing for, the old school coaches, is where it's like, okay, I might lose a guy because he's going to go make 40, 50 grand at another school. So there's two different sides of the transfer portal. So obviously, like I said, I was a grad student. So I was more so leaving because, one, I wanted to go to a place where I was going to play for my 5th year. 2, I was looking at either a master's or a grad certificate. There was different ways. I feel like grad transfers, it's different. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like, hey, I have an extra year. What can I do with it? Okay. So now some of my buddies that, that jump ship early on because NIL wasn't a thing my freshman and sophomore year. So
we're going to get into the NIL side, not to cut you off.
Yeah, no. And also, too, it's funny that we brought up that NIL because I actually do have an example that I'm going to share with you guys. And it's might be the person, may or may not be the person that's going to talk to us about NIL. So there's your sneak peek. But yeah, so I had guys jump ship because one, they had a meeting with the coaching staff and they're like, hey, like you're just not going to play here.
Yeah,
and unfortunately, that's a tough conversation, but it's real,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, hey, we appreciate your time here, but you're not going to play.
Right.
So you should probably enter the portal. Two, you're not happy. And it's like, okay, I'm going to enter the portal. So those are kind of just reasons, why, guys jump ship. Now, in this new age of NIL, it's like, okay, so a good example of this is, say you have a mid-major kid. He goes on to be an All-American at Division I level. And instead of staying loyal to his mid-major program,
you want to go secure the bag.
A school like, and I'm not saying that schools do this, but a school like LSU or Tennessee come around and they're like, hey, we got $75,000, $80,000 for you to come. You're going to get a free ride. But this is just bonus money. This is just bonus money that you get for coming to our school. So I think that side is where, the transfer portal gets
and there's even a
little hairy. But like we've been saying, it's the day and age. It's the day and age.
And there's even another level to it on top of those things. It's like now guys are using the transfer portal for leverage in the draft. Like you have guys that know you're going to get drafted or have a very high percentage of getting drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And they use the transfer portal to say, all right, well, I'm at, what school do we want to say? We're at a mid-major, right?
Yep.
We'll just say JMU, right?
Perfect.
Something like that. Puts up great numbers. You're getting drafted at JMU. All right, well, I'm going to be a sixth rounder from JMU. But all right, well, let me go in the transfer portal. Let's go get the Vannies, the Ole Misses, the LSUs, the Tennessees.
Because they're going to want you. Because they're going to want you because you put up numbers.
And Mississippi State, like, next thing you know, it's like, hey, well, I'm going to go transfer to Mississippi State or LSU or any of those big schools.
Because they're giving me $150,000.
Plus, now if you could play ball in the SEC, you're going to thrive and you're able.
Pro Bowl. Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's another angle where you're looking at. It's like, I tell kids all the time when they come in here, I'm like, listen, you might, like, young teenagers where they need to understand, like, listen, you don't have to wait till you're going to get to pro ball to get paid to play baseball anymore.
Yeah.
Or basketball or soccer, whatever it is.
Yep.
You could work your tail off and go get paid, like Angel Reese. Right, Angel Reese secured more money during college than she will in her entire WNBA career.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
Like for some people, you're using the transfer portal as a way to leverage the rest of your life.
Yeah, and it's something that unfortunately, and not unfortunately, but it's just the way the sports are played now.
Yeah.
So it's something that you kind of have to, just keep in mind when you're going through this process. It's like I said in the beginning of the video, it can be a really scary process, but it's probably one of the most rewarding process.
Mm-hmm.
So Conor, kind of just, you've been coaching a little bit longer than I have. What do you, or what? How do I want to ask this? Like, what would be your advice to athletes that are going through this process now of something that you look for as a college coach? How to, like, just, what I'm trying to ask you. Like, how do you, what advice do you got?
There's a couple things that I look for, and I guess you kind of have advice too. It's, first and foremost, the easiest thing is your grades. You're in control of your grades. But also if your grades are in great standing, I'm not saying you have to be a 4.0, 4.5. Just a 3.5 opens up so many doors.
Yep.
You know what I mean? A 3.6 opens the doors, but it starts from your freshman year. And if you're a freshman and you put yourself in a hole with a 2.0, it's so easy to get into the hole and so difficult to get out of the hole once you get there.
Absolutely.
So you want to make sure you have good, outstanding grades, because not only that, you're going to help your family out. And I know, as a kid, when I was 16 years old, 15 years old, and I'm thinking about the college process, I'm not thinking about, like, hey, I need to go save my parents $70,000.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just all honesty. Sorry, Mom and Dad. I know you guys watch.
It's real. It's real.
It's like I look at it, it's like now it's say, hey, how could I help my family save a couple bucks and my future's taken care of and my baseball career is taken care of? And that's all just based around one thing. That's great, right? But from a standpoint, it's I show up to somewhere where I'm going to recruit. It is, first off, I'm going to notice the things that are wide open to me. You know what I mean? Like, all right, what's this kid doing pregame?
Yep.
You know, are you stretching, doing your short work, doing, playing catch the right way? Yes, there is a proper way to throw a catch. Play catch that will get you noticed a little bit more. You know, you want to, when those coaches that you're playing with are saying play catch the right way, there's a reason why they say that. You know, we even do it at Albertus where the emphasis on playing catch is the most important part of the day. It's because if you can't play catch, you can't do anything.
It sets the tone.
You know what I mean?
Sets the tone.
Exactly. So first things first is I'm looking at how you play catch. Is he just sitting there with his hands down by his sides, or is he presenting hands, right? You want to look, obviously you want to look active. You want to, show it off, be able to move your feet with the ball, but after that, like, and how am I going to the dugout? How am I talking with other players on the field? Is mom and dad near the dugout?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, because I know one of the first questions after the initial contact is going to be, what are his parents like? And it's not going to be asking little Timmy there, hey, what are your parents like? No, we do our homework. We want to know what the parents are like simply because we want to see the character of the family should, go into the kid as well.
Yes. Now, I don't want to cut you off here because I know you have good thoughts brewing. Perfect example of this. This actually just happened to us at Albertus. So we were recruiting a kid. Don't worry, I'm not going to mention any names. We were recruiting a kid that we had on a visit. He was on campus and kind of slowed down on contact with us. Whatever, that's fine. Like, it is what it is. Biggest advice is, stay connected with your college coaches, right? Be engaged. Show that, we're, and I'm not just saying this because we're in the industry, but it's like, hey, like, just show us that you still want to be at our school, right?
Correct.
But anyway, so now this kid's family, they're continuing to go to showcases, which we understand, but the family kind of, gets in an altercation and shows their true colors to another college coach. Mm-hmm. And they do not know that we are actually very, very, very close with this college coach because as college coaches, we coached together in the summer. We coached, we played
network
with them. We were teammates with them, right? Yeah. It's all one big giant, bubble. So one of the biggest advices that I can, give you is like, obviously they're your parents, so be respectable about it, but like have that conversation with your parent and be like, hey, like I need you to be super respectful here because I promise you college coaches talk. College coaches talk
very much.
And your parents, unfortunately, do kind of, they symbolize you. So it's like, okay, like if kid A's parents are, loud, obnoxious, kind of just all about it.
They're your team water boy and
Exactly. So it's like, then what that kind of just creates the opinion on us where it's like, okay, the kid's probably the same way. Correct. So I just wanted to bring that up because that literally just happened to us. Like that is a real life story. So continue on.
Yeah, it's definitely, no, you're good. That's a piece of the puzzle where like it goes, it's not always said, you know what I mean?
It's a very underrated piece of the puzzle.
There's a lot of times where you go to a showcase, and the parents start to fall in love with, the moment of the game. A runner sliding a home is called safe when he's really out by 4 feet. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, all right, well, you're going to see the passion out of the parents, but what else are you going to see from the kid? You know what I mean? So it is hard in the moment, but it also comes with maturity. It's you want to be able to learn how to do things the right way. How do you carry yourself like a professional? You know what I mean? It's like, and then last, I just think the way you go about your business on the field and on the field, it is crucial to what we're looking at as college coaches. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I'm talking about how you treat your teammates, how you treat your coaches, and we just said how you treat your parents, right? Yep. How you treat your gear, right? How many times do you see kids throw helmets? It's like, yeah, I get you're passionate, right? Trust me, I had my fair share of throwing
Me
helmets,
too.
throwing gloves,
Me
punching
too.
things.
You saw me smash a helmet up in Sanford,
Yeah.
so.
And the first word that came out of Billy Gerlot's mouth was, "Go ahead, I'll let you say it."
So I'll make this a long story short. So I was struggling in Danbury, and we were up in Sanford, Maine. I finally got back on the barrel, and I lined out to the second baseman because he did a freaking backflip, catch it above his head, right? So I was pissed. And we just had the conversation as a team and coaching staff, like, hey, like we're done throwing helmets, like we're done doing that, like let's act professional. So I come into Sanford, Maine, and the Mainers, the way their dugout was, is they have just 3 random poles holding up their dugout. So I come in with my helmet and I boom right across the pole. Helmet shatters. It's in front of everybody. Everybody's kind of just looking at me.
Hey, bro,
and
we just talked about this.
Right away, I knew what I did. I was like, guys, I'm so sorry. I know I fucked up here, but like, I needed that. And I think that saved Coach Ratchford from, pulling me out of the game. So
Yeah, correct. No, 100%.
So don't do that stuff. Don't do that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from a physique standpoint, what have you been looking at? Like what? I mean, I know what I look at from a pitching standpoint.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that go into your hitters.
Now, I don't expect you to look like Hercules. You know what I mean? None of us really look like Hercules, because if you look like Hercules, you probably can't. You're probably not mobile. Probably can't move, right? So, from a position player standpoint, what I look for is athleticism and kind of just like knowing how your body moves, right?
Yeah.
I don't want you to be sloppy. You
can't be a baby giraffe.
Like bad posture, kind of have like the beer belly at 16. Like, granted, I understand everybody has different body molds, and, I'm not saying that you can't have that, but like at least look athletic while you're doing it, right? You better hit balls 500 feet. And also too, like I want to like know that you work hard. You know what I mean? We talked about it a little bit in, the weightlifting, episode last week, where it's like, if you get after it in the weight room, like I understand everybody's genetics and all that is different, right? Mm-hmm. But if you get after it in the weight room, you're doing your conditioning, you're doing your strength training, you're doing your mobility and all that. Like that's kind of what I just look from a physique. Now, this also goes into physique too, where it's like, okay, is his hair down below his shoulders? Is his jersey untucked? Right? Yep. How does he wear his uniform?
He's got one leg up, one leg down.
Yeah, like how does he present himself? You know what I mean? That's something that I look for, kind of just in that, but also too, and you probably, you definitely look for the same thing, is how do you react to failure, right? So, for an example, you're at a game, I'm there watching you, your first at bat, you strike out, right? Yeah. How do you run on and off the field? How do you treat your teammates? How do you treat your coaches post strikeout?
1,000%.
Then your second at bat, it's like, okay, how you line out. Now it's like, okay, you're 0 for 2 with pretty, 2 tough at bats. Yeah. Then how do you react?
And do you touch the bag?
Right? Do you touch the bag? Do you have a hard 90? And all that stuff. Like, I promise you, college coaches, they push like the hard 90s regardless. Like at Penn State and Kent State, if we flew out, it was touch second. You know what I mean? It was hard out of the box no matter what, because you want to instruct fear into your opponent, where it's like, hey, like, damn, we just got that kid out, but he's still here. He's still mentally, 100%. Here. He's still checked in. So that's kind of just stuff that I look for. But also too, like kind of just embracing the failure, because if there's a game that I'm watching, say I'm watching 2 kids, one kid's 0 for 4 with 4 lineouts, but one kid's 4 for 4 with 4 rollover ground balls through the 6 hole. Like I'm most likely going to come back for the kid that lined out 4 times.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different moving pieces from it, but kind of just at the end of the day, play the game the right way, and the game will reward you. And it's going to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, from a pitcher standpoint, I had my fair share of, being at a junior college as a coach and now at the NCAA level, where it was 2, honestly, completely different schemes. We're at the JUCO level. We had a lot of guys that had the D1 brain. You know what I mean? Like we had horses that wanted to get better.
Yep.
You know, we had the horses that wanted to throw 95 miles an hour in 2 days. And obviously that's not how it works. But when you look at from a pitching standpoint, you know, I want to see pretty much the same things that you want to see. Your athleticism, your mobility, you know, that you have a little bit of layback in that arm so you're not just a mold. You're actually a guy with some projectability that's going to help us win games. A strike thrower. You know, it's not just 100% strikes, 80% strikes. I want an effective strike thrower, you know, like the 65%, you know. Having more than one pitch that you can throw for a strike. I mean, two is pretty decent. But if I could find a guy that has a 3-pitch mix that can throw it for a strike every time,
I'll take that over velo
all
any
day.
day of the week.
And then now you're taking that standard and you say, all right, what about 3 pitches for a strike and a 3-2 count or a leverage count? Now I'm going to take that guy as well. You know, it's not so much about the velocity as you guys may think it is. Velocity sells, that's cool. But velocity is not always going to win you games if you can't throw the ball over the plate. So when it comes down to it, we could build velocity. You know, I've just since the beginning of the fall, I mean, we've seen pitchers have been on our program, and I'm doing mechanic stuff in the bullpens with them. We've already seen, you know, some guys at their highs a 6-mile-an-hour jump already, which is pretty good. Then at our low, it's a 3-mile-an-hour jump. It's quite frankly, when you go back to the beginning of this conversation about, you know, the recruiting, it comes down to what you put in. So it's if you want to be really good at your craft, you have to do the extra work. It's not going to take a 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour practice every day to get you better. I mean, back in my day, my biggest velo jump came from I would hit in the mornings because I knew that I was still a two-way guy, and then I'd throw in the afternoon, and then I would lift before I go to lunch. And then after lunch, I go back and do my recovery, my plyos, all that stuff, and I hit more. And then I go home for dinner, and then after dinner, I go back to the gym and lift again. Then I'd have a sauna session or like a swim session, and I cool down. I'm doing from 9 a.m. I'm not saying every kid has to do this and has the schedule to do this now, but I'm fitting in from 9 a.m. to about like 9 p.m. every day back then. School, I played 4 different sports. I tried to do everything that I could. You know, it was like, all right, because you hear the excuse all the time. Well, I don't have time. Fellas and ladies, how many hours in a day?
24.
All right, how many hours are you in school?
These days, I don't even know. I was in school for at least 7.
Yeah, so let's just say 24 minus 7.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Now you're at 18. Or, geez, this is where I fall. 17. What did we say? 24, yeah. 17.
I'm not getting into math. I don't want to embarrass myself.
But now you look at it, it's like, all right, 17. I do this so many times a week where it's like repetitive. 17. How many hours do you sleep for in a 24-hour day? We'll say 7 hours. Make it easy math for us.
Some kids that are ripping Battlefield all night.
Yeah. Now you have
5-6 hours.
You play, let's say we're at the 10-hour mark. You still have 10 hours. Now let's just say you spend 4 hours on homework. You are still at 6 hours left of your day. How long do you guys eat lunch and dinner for? Half hour?
Half hour,
so there goes an hour. Now you're down to what?
5
hours.
There you go.
You still have 5 hours to get your work in.
You could realistically, if you're a hitter, you could hit in an hour. You can lift in an hour. Honestly, pitching, you could probably get all your throwing. You can get all your work in with an hour, and then you still have 3 hours, 3 hours to do, you know, whatever you want. There's your extracurricular. There's your Battlefield time.
Yeah,
your Fortnite time.
It's really just prioritize your time. You know, so when I go back to the advice question you asked me before, it's like, of course, what I was talking about before, but prioritize your time. Set your priorities now, so when you do get to college, you don't have to figure out what time management is. You're giving your classes. You know how much time you need to sleep. You know when the cafeteria is open, right? Now after that, that could be your leisure time and hard work time. But you have to be able to execute these things on a daily basis. And that's the hard thing to do because every day something wants to change. So just be better at controlling the controllables if we want to sum it all up. Because then when it comes down to it, that's where it all comes into play when it comes to where you want to go for school.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you guys think, but I think Coach Conor just came up with a great video idea of setting routines and kind of just talking about that. So stay tuned for that. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But now, but he's exactly right. He's exactly right. And I think, you know, what you guys have found out, you know, about this, you know, podcast and all that, like we set a good topic, but then, you know, the way our minds work and all that stuff, you know, we think about things and it's like, oh, well, I mean, that's a good advice right there. But, you know, I think that setting a routine and getting in that routine is probably one of the biggest advice givers that we could ever, you know, recommend. Yeah. So kind of pulling it back into the recruiting process and all that stuff, what is your opinion? And I think this is where, you know, the opinions kind of fly around. What is your opinion on attending showcases, attending camps?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you attend these showcase camps, you want to go to the showcase camps that are targeted schools of your what you're liking, right? If I want to go to a University of Connecticut baseball showcase, I am not going to go to St. John's when UConn is not there. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, you want to try and put – there's a lot of showcases out there that are going to tell you exactly what you want to hear because it puts money into their program. There are a lot of times where you're simply going to a showcase and those college coaches have zero care for who you are, where you come from. They're looking for that diamond in the rough that decides to show up for that showcase camp that day because, hey, we don't actually need anybody. Well, I have a Saturday in February open, which is probably, you know, very cold up here, where, all right, well, we need a pitcher. So you have all 70 position guys come in, but that coach could be looking for one arm.
Yeah, and they don't care about the position players.
And those guys are just getting reps in over there.
Yep.
And that's just free money.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean?
I can't agree more. I think showcases are, you know, some of the biggest money grabs, you know, in the world, which, I mean, they help our industry. They help the world go round, you know, but kind of my advice is like, don't train for showcases, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, your 60 time could be great. You could hit a ball 97 off of a tee. You know, your arm velocity across the diamond could be 95 with 2 crow hops, right? Like, at least me, I care about what you do in game because that's what I'm recruiting you for. I'm recruiting you to help us win ball games. So I don't really care if you can crow hop 96 across the diamond when there's going to be a guy that's running a 4 flat or a 3.9 down the line. Like, you need to get it out of the glove, you know, across the diamond. So that's my opinion, you know, when it comes to like training for showcases. Now, you did kind of touch on it. I would only attend the showcases that, one, the coaches that you are talking to or that you are interested in are attending. But if a coach tells you to go to their showcase, because now with NIL and all that stuff, they can theoretically they can pay for you to attend, right? So this is a perfect example. It was right before I committed to Penn State. I attended a camp at Penn State, and that is because the recruiting coordinator told me to attend that camp. So I knew, one, I was a priority for them watching me. 2, I knew that I was going to get basically a visit before a visit, right? Because you get like when you go to like, you know, college hosted camps, you get a tour around their facility, you get to see all that stuff. So I knew that I was going to be there. Right. And 3, too, and we didn't even talk about this, like there's dead periods, there's quiet periods. Like there are specific times that you cannot, you know, talk to college coaches. Like they cannot talk to you. So if you are at a camp, pending if there's anything illegal going on, which there's always illegal shit going on. It's just the way of the world. I knew that I could talk to the coaches face to face. Talking to a coach face to face is way better than talking to a coach through a text message or a phone call.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
So I cannot express that enough. Go to a camp where you are wanted, where John Smith is the priority at this camp, not where John Smith just gets his camp t-shirt with number 236 on the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's my opinion on showcases. And obviously, the PBR events, the perfect game events, they're great. It's great exposure. It's great exposure. Just be prepared to spend money.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into the showcase camp trail. It's like you get a lot of those emails that come out.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the emails,
those emails are automated, by the way.
They are.
I'm just saying.
There are certain things where you want to look at, like, all right, well, I want to go to, like, my story was more demographic. I want to get out of Connecticut, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm going to go focus on where I want to go in terms of my showcase camps, all right? We didn't really have so much showcase camps back in my day. We had just, team practices that we'd have a lineup of coaches that actually came out.
Yep.
I was fortunate enough to partner myself with, or network myself with a lot of coaches in the area that had connections to all these schools that I wanted to go to. But the one biggest thing that I always had was I would get emails and letters in the mail from every school in the world.
Yep.
It's like, holy shit, Vanderbilt wants me. Like, this is so cool. Like,
don't fall for the trap.
You know what I mean?
Don't fall for the trap.
When it's from a parenting standpoint, you want to really do your homework as well.
Yes.
You want to make sure actually the coach's name that's listed on the email is actually a real coach.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I mean? Because or if you click on the email and it comes up as some other BS email, probably not a real email.
Yep.
So just be smart. Just be proactive though, when it comes down to that stuff, because there are a lot of recruiting, and also make sure you have a trustworthy person in your.
I was actually just about to say, like, those recruiting, some of those recruiting programs that you could pay for online, like, they're not necessarily doing any work for you. Like, at the end of the day, you're the one. If you want to play a collegiate sport and you want to get to where you want to be, you're going to be the ultimate guy doing the work, right? Because they're going to get you the camp invites. They're going to get you all that stuff, but they're not going to get you in contact with the coaches. So just watch where you put your money, watch who you trust, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And another piece is, you want to, when you talk to these schools, everyone's dream is to go to a power, P4 school. You want to talk to the coaches, see what the coaching philosophy is, see what you need to do in order to be a starter right away. Flat out, hey, coach, where do you see me in your plans? It's like, hey, I'm not going to play year one, but you're going to be a good guy for us year two. Some guys might be okay with that because you need a little more seasoning. Some guys won't. Simply, I wanted to go somewhere where I can start right away. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where if you're not going to start right away and you're at a certain division, you might not actually qualify for that redshirt year because you actually practiced with that team even though you didn't play a game.
Yes.
There's a lot of rules that are out there right now when it comes to recruiting where, hey, Connor Farrell did not play a single game at Albertus Magnus this year, but hey, NCAA compliance officer, could I get my redshirt here? No.
No, you can't.
And why? Because you practice with the team.
Yep.
It's literally those little things that need to be understood from, the grand scheme of things. Yep. So you understand, like, all right, well, do I get a red shirt? Do I get a gray shirt? You know that information just so you're understanding what you're getting yourself into before you actually commit.
For sure. And that kind of just leads into, like, the last topic that we're going to talk about is, like, text messages and phone calls and, the do's and don'ts and all that. And, there's really no set way for, a text message or a phone call, to happen. So we're not going to sit here and tell you, like, hey, you need to do A, B, C, and D because this is what we look for, right? Because all coaches are different, all kids are different, right? My biggest advice is, let your personality dictate where it goes, right? Because at the end of the day, we're recruiting you guys for you. So if we don't want you to be fake, because we're not going to be fake towards you. You know what I mean? But when it comes to text messages and phone calls, my biggest advice that I can give you guys is just text them back. Get on a phone call with them. Just see where they want, because the biggest thing that I think that just goes over a lot of kids' heads is you never know where these coaches may end up, because you guys follow, the coaching carousel, right? Like, jobs are opening up constantly. So if you're talking to a recruiting coordinator, but you are not on top of, getting back to them, or you're not communicating, with them the best that you could be. And let's just say I'm just going to use an example of a school. Say they're at Fairfield University, the recruiting coordinator for Fairfield University. But then the D1 job opens up at, let's say, Rutgers. Yeah. And that recruiting coordinator was super, super, super on you. Now you're not getting recruited by Fairfield. You're getting recruited by Rutgers. So if you don't show the coach the respect that, they feel is needed, you're right off the board. So now you don't have Fairfield anymore, and now you don't have Rutgers. So that's just my biggest advice is, just take the phone call. Just take the phone call. Like, for example, like during my portal time, I was getting reached out to by all the PSAC schools in the Division II, because 1, I was a Pennsylvania guy. 2, I was at Penn State. So like the Division II, the Division III schools are going to reach out to you just
100%.
because. But I still gave them the respect because they're taking time out of your day to contact you, because they feel that you could benefit their program. So, I mean, I don't know if you have any advice when it comes to kind of just that topic, but.
I mean, I agree with that. It's also the fact that if you're going to commit elsewhere, communicate with your coaches, schools that you're talking to. It is just out of respect for the entire process. Like, we've taken our time and put our time into you. You've put our time into us. It's only fair. Like, if we chose to move on, wouldn't you want the same thing from us?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just
never burn a bridge.
Right.
Never burn a bridge. And this is us talking to you as college coaches, but this is also talking to you guys as former players. Never burn a bridge, because we talked about it earlier. I'm telling you, the sports world, in any sports, it's one big bubble.
Small.
It's one big bubble, and you may think that it's super big. It's not. It is not.
I mean, I can tell you right now, I know coaches from obviously Connecticut all the way out to California. I know coaches at the professional level from the East Coast to Australia. So if you look at Venezuela,
yep.
You know what I mean? So you don't know who you're talking to, for one.
Yep.
But also, if you do want to get into, the recruiting world, you can obviously come in and talk to us or give us a call.
Yeah, please.
But I think the biggest thing that needs to be understood is be transparent, be respectful, do your homework, and make sure you are doing what you need to do off the field. Because what happens off the field is what happens on the field.
Correct.
So.
Correct. That means take care of your social media. Make sure your social media is, clean. Make sure there's not Miller Lite cans in the back of your post. Because, I mean, granted, we've all been there. Trust me, we understand it. But I'm telling you, you never know. You never know what a college coach is looking for.
And the other thing is with the Twitter stuff, and this is one that I think goes unnoticed as well, it is with your Twitter page, try to bookmark or highlight, whatever it's called, your videos to the top of the page.
Yes, please.
Please. Right? I do not want to see all your reposts of all your boys and your girls. Yes. And now I'd never find you. Yes. And now I'm recruiting your boy off of your profile.
Yeah.
Or girl, excuse me.
Yo, good call on that one. So that was badass.
That's one of the things that you need to do.
Yes.
A lot of, because I sit on Twitter every single day, every night.
Me too now. I do too. Looking for players because we need to do it. We need to do it.
And I was literally sitting there looking at a kid from, I think it was Maryland area. And it was just nothing but his friends. And I'm like, all right, man, like, Where you
And
at,
trust
bud?
me, like we'll look at that where it's like, okay, like this guy might genuinely be a good teammate. He likes to promote other people than himself.
Right.
But like be a little selfish there with your social media.
Yeah,
Like put your stuff at the
That's
top.
what it's called. Pin it.
Yeah, pin it. Pin it to the top so we can, can look at you because we're on your profile for a reason.
Yeah. But now you made me click to your boy's profile, your girl's profile. Like, you guys get it though. But
yeah,
we're here for you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
For any recruiting purposes, if you guys want to make a recruiting video, we do that here as well.
Yeah, we do.
Obviously there are a lot of things we can do to help you in terms of recruiting. But
I'm going to leave you guys with this, and it's going to be very inspirational. 7% of high school athletes go on to play collegiate sports. 2% go on to play Division I, right? Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, JUCO. I'm telling you, there is a home for you. Go to where you are wanted. Go to where you are going to play. That is the best advice that I could potentially, that I could honestly ever give you. Take the opportunity. Take the opportunity.
Yes, sir. You'll be right there with us.
We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Oh, and by the way, for young bucks that need a little protein.
Nusi.
Sir, shout out Nusi. That's our yogurt, bro. Nuri. Well, there goes that sponsorship.
Yo, but Noosa yogurt. Wow, I ruined the video, but that's okay. Okay, Rise Energy, Nuri, unfiltered milkshakes. Grade A market in Stamford, Connecticut. There's 2 of them. Check them out. And Noosa yogurt. Just help your boys out. I need money.
We're trying to make it big.
I need money.
Oh, yeah. It actually looks kind of dope with the weights in the background. Looks like the Iron Gym.
The Iron Gym.
I gotta crack this open.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
This commercial break is brought to you by Nuri Ultra Filtered Milkshake. 30 grams, 1 gram of sugar, 150 calories, 10 vitamins and nutrients. Get yours today.
I think the biggest thing, too, is only 2 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
So for you people that are watching, that are
you husky fellas out there like myself.
It's from Neenah, Wisconsin.
All right, well, cheers.
Cheers, buds. Cheers, bud.
It's gas.
It is gas. We'll have to actually put something. We can actually do that kind of in the intro. But yeah, no,
I think we just go from right there and just cut that piece and throw it out.
Throw it in there. Throw it in there.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready to roll.
What episode are we again? 6.
Episode 6, yep.